But I remember having dreams beforehand that caused my fear to just kind of go. And one of them that I remember still so vividly, I was walking down like a hallway with the bars, like it was a jail, and it was just bars all on the wall, and I'm walking, and as I'm walking, there's like this demon things, like, reaching through the bars trying to get me, and I'm just so filled with fear at the moment, and I just hear God's voice saying, why are you so scared? This is not even your fight. And I was like, and even in my dream, I just felt the comfort and the strength of it. And all of a sudden, all of these demons are like underneath me, and I'm like stepping on them. And it was just so powerful to me. And just his voice, and like, it's not my fight. This is not my fight. And
have you or someone you know had your life turned upside down because of your past?
Of course I have.
Everyone does background checks now, which makes it hard to bounce back.
What do you believe?
I believe your background shouldn't hold you back. It should pay you back. This podcast will inspire you, motivate you, and inform you with everything you need to rise above your past and not be afraid to say, go ahead, check my background. My name is J.Dan Gum, and this is Background Check.
You already know. Let's go. You can check my background. I'm a forgiven felon, so tell them that I won't back down. No. You can bet I won't live in regret. It's time to earn some respect. You are tuning in to Background Check.
In the frame over the wood, depending on how I feel. I flip the playlist from my steering wheel. I open a Bible like I'm opening car doors. I'd rather walk on the material to his throne doors. His words of speed, wisdom, and common knowledge. Enough to make you
cannot
move
wait
from the ledge.
to get this guy on the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Background Check Podcast. I'm your host, J.Dan Gum, and this is my co-host, Jessa. Background Check Podcast, where we believe your background shouldn't hold you back.
It should pay you back.
And brought to you by Forgiven Felons, helping people with the past
realize their future.
Yay. Thank you once again for joining us today. We could not do this show without you, right, Jessa?
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't listen, if you didn't watch, we wouldn't have a show. And so we want to say thank you for spreading the word. Thank you for everything that you're doing to let everybody know about the show. We love all the stories where you write in and tell us how much the show has impacted us. I wish we had time to just somehow, I know we do the ticker, but that's just, I wish we had some way to thank you guys and gals who write in to let us know of the impact that, but man, when you get out, right? I mean, how many times a week are people calling me because they're out?
A lot.
Yeah, you're getting out. You guys are getting out. So if you're already out and you're listening to this, thank you for calling us and getting in contact with us. Just a few more emails this week. Emails, text messages from people all across the nation. Somebody in Massachusetts emailed me. Yeah. And then I posted a couple on social media. And so we're just thankful. So when you get out and you're listening, come on, man. Come on. Thank you so much. But you guys that are inside, whether you listen to audio, which hopefully you've been listening on audio the past, I want to say a week and a half, 10 days, 11 days, Jessa, Pando's been down on the inside. Did you know that? I don't know if I even told you. They've been down.
Just in Texas?
No, all over the nation. The whole Pando app, all over the nation. So one inmate, thank you, Kylie. We suggested that we try to make sure we're doing the podcast and encourage y'all to go listen to the podcast, the audio podcast. And we were having problems with it too. So I think we got that one fixed now too. So no matter where you're watching, out here inside YouTube at Forgiven Felon, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any podcast platform. You can also watch on forgivenfelons.org, but it's just the YouTube link, so you can watch it on YouTube. So, but thanks again, and we are also brought to you by the Wayback.
Yeah.
So we love the Wayback. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you're getting out, call them when you get out. The number's on the screen right now. We're also going to put it at the end of the episode. I'll also mention it here when I start interviewing with Noemi. So what's new in your life, Jessa? Anything?
I Don't remember if there is.
Let's see. Well,
We lost another softball game.
you lost another softball game. We've already
So
had
nothing changed.
nothing changed with that. All right, that's all right. You got a hat on.
Yeah, we went to
Oh my
Rare
goodness,
Breed
Rare
concert.
Breed. You can see mine. God Twain.
He
God Twain.
signed our hats.
Yeah, he signed Jess and Jim's hats, and Rare Breed did. We also got to see ASAP preach. I'm gonna get some. I got some video of the concert, and I'll post it on there as well at some point. And
Gemma fell asleep.
in the concert because it went past 8:30. So, anyways, you can also see we got the blue lights going on for the Rangers. Texas Rangers. Come on, Rangers. I got my shirt on. Beat those Stros. Now, man, I know there's got to be probably more Astro fans in prison than there are Ranger fans. I don't know why that is. I'm just saying I used to be in there, and I think there was a lot more Astro fans than Ranger fans in prison. But that's okay, man. That's okay. I got a nice little bet, a dinner bet with Reggie McCoy. He's a Stros fan, and so whichever team wins the other one has to take him out to a 5-star restaurant. Can't be something cheap. Has to be nice.
Like
Has
it's
to be
like
nice.
Saltgrass or something.
Oh, that's like 3.5 stars.
Really?
Like really good, yeah. So anyway, so I'm excited. Reggie McCoy, shouting you out, buddy. Here we go. Social media, I've changed all my posts to hashtag Let's Go Rangers Beat the Astros.
He even has like him and the little boy with the Rangers jersey on.
Yeah. So when I was in Little League, I played on the Rangers, Texas Rangers, on our Little League, and so I got I'll put it on there so the guys in prison can see it.
He looks so different.
Yeah, and then we also put it on our cover picture for Facebook. We put a picture of you. I took her to a Ranger game when she was real little at the old stadium.
And I got on the big screen.
Yep, because she was so cute. So, anyway.
Also, he had me in the air.
Yeah, I had I was like holding her up for any camera to see. Anyway, we're cheering our Rangers on. Me and one of my Forgiven Felons, the former resident, are going to go to home game 2, so game 4. Unless, yeah. Hopefully by game 4 we're already 3 up on them, 3-0, and we just sweep the Astros like we did the other 2 teams. That'll be good, huh? All right, let's see what else. So Pando is back. From what I hear in the email, that you guys are back. I'm sorry that y'all went a little bit without it. Hopefully now you get to binge watch. You get to binge watch a couple worthy people. 2 of my episodes with Cody Ford, episodes 1 and 2. I don't think y'all got to see the Storms episode. The Storm, little short background check-in with Storms is a good one. It's a good one. Make sure you go back and watch it. And then tell your family out here to watch us on YouTube. Okay, they can listen to the audio podcast if they want, but tell them to watch us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button like you guys do in prison. Thank y'all for subscribing. But most importantly, man, when you give your heart to the Lord, because of one of our videos, one of our guests, we want to know about it. We write us and let us know. And when you do write us and let us know about a guest that impacted your life, listen, not all of them want to be contacted. Some of them just want to share their story and let it impact people. Some of them do want to be contacted. We'll make sure that y'all have a way of doing that if so. Yeah. And none of the girls that come on the show are available. None of the ladies, not One Man's Treasure, not the doctors, not anybody that comes on this show is available. So don't write in asking for their number and for them to e-message you and all that. So anyway, what else? G5 again. Welcome G5. G5 all over the nation.
Patriot Pause or something?
Yeah, Patriot Pause. I don't know. I can't re-air it, but I'm going to find a way to at least put some pictures up there of the Patriot Pause graduation. So hopefully y'all will be able to see that. And anyway, anything new? Anything else new? I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. I think if you don't know yet, but I will be doing a devotion on it. I may be taking a break from coming inside for a little bit, and because of some decisions I made and some judgment calls, and they were the wrong ones. And when the official sentence gets handed down, I'll share with you guys. But we'll still be able to do videos and put out content. But yeah, I think I'm going to be all right though. I'm going to be all right. I'm going to bounce back, and everything's going to be good. We all make mistakes. So, you ready for this interview? You don't even know this lady. Her name is Noemi, and she goes to our church, Social, and she did some time in prison, and she got an 18-year sentence. Oh,
Wow.
yeah, and so, yeah, she's got an amazing story. You're going to laugh and cry. She cries a lot. But it's just, they're beautiful tears because it's a beautiful story. And so yeah, it's going to be good. You ready to do this? Is there anything else we need to talk about?
I don't know. I feel like this one went really quick.
Yeah, it's a short announcement. Let's see. Frank Torres, thank you for the drawing. And yeah, Frank Torres, thank you so much, man, for the drawing. And Jessa loved the drawing. And, of course, the other ladies of the house, Gemma and Jessica, appreciated their name being on there, too. And we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you. And I like how you put the little background check on the hand. It looks like maybe a tattoo. So thank you, everyone, again, who writes in and lets us know how you're doing. Again, if you're writing in for an application, Securus is way behind. I've already called down to Huntsville, and they're like, well, give me the names of people who are waiting for their application to be printed out. And I'm like, there's too many of them. There's too many.
Everybody that's done it.
I've only gotten one application back that was printed out. So y'all be patient. There's nothing we can do. We've sent literally hundreds of applications in to Securus since September 6th. And so if you haven't got it on your tablet yet, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. And there's nothing we can do. So, right? Things we can control, things we can't control, right? So y'all be patient. Apps will get to you. And remember, if you're writing in and need an app, write on their need application. That way we can expedite it. So, because we're way behind on reading letters, even with Gabby and Maria helping us, we're way behind on reading letters. So if you don't put application on the front and then you tell us your whole story and wait till the very end to tell us you need an application, you're not going to get one for a long time.
Or at least put it in the beginning of it and then don't tell your whole story. Because it's going to have to do it.
Because what we do is we put the ones that need application, we put them in a separate stack, and the ones that don't say application, we put them in over here, and we get to them in order of how they came in. So if you put need application, you're going to be on the front of the stack, all right? So don't go back and listen to The Storms and Cody Ford from Worthy People 1 and 2, part 1 and 2. Make sure you listen to those. A lot of you don't know Cody's full story because he's usually interviewing like me. So go listen to it. Some really good stuff, part 1 and part 2, and share the word, spread it. And then The Storms is a good one. And I'll have another background check in this week sometime. But thank you, Jessa, for co-hosting with me again this week. Thank you for going to the concert and hanging all night long with me and not falling asleep.
Sort of.
Thank y'all, guys. I know a lot of y'all write in and say, hey, do you do anything else? I have a small business. A handyman business. We have a Christmas light company.
Christmas light.
And we're about to start that up, and we're about to get busy. The Houston trip was really fun. It was good. We got some good stories. Can't wait to share them. And I think Exodus is going to be on the next interview, and we're going to be playing some of his music as well on the show. So, yeah, I think that's it. Go Rangers, beat the Astros. And here is my interview with Noemi Martinez. Oh, and don't forget to let your background
hold you back.
Don't let your background hold you back.
Make it pay you back.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Background Check Podcast. I'm your host, JD Gum, where we believe your background shouldn't hold you back. It should pay you back. Brought to you by Forgiven Felons, helping people with the past realize their future. Also brought to you by The Way Back. We're going to put their graphic up later on in the show. Their reentry services in Dallas. If you're coming to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, give them a call, and they can help you with everything. We partner with them. All of our guys go to them, and so you won't regret it if you're getting out, coming to the Dallas area. Today on the show, I have the amazing... And I always say your name wrong, but it sounds like Naomi, but it's spelled like Noemi, but it's actually pronounced
Noemi.
Okay, well, I was close then. I was close.
Yeah.
All right. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome to Background Check
Thank
Podcast.
You so much.
You ready to do this background check?
I believe so. We'll see.
You know, it's funny because, you know, once you get a felony on your record, it's like your whole life is about the background check now.
It is.
You know, and it's like, I mean, if I want to work in the nursery, they're going to do a background check,
Right.
you know, so even church functions, if I go into a school, an elementary school or high school to preach, or not to preach, but to share my story, they want to do a background check.
Yeah.
So it's like our whole life now revolves around the background check. And so when we started this back in 2020, I just said, you know, let's take what is normally used as a negative, that background check, and use it as something positive. Bring people on. Let's acknowledge what we've been through.
Right.
And it's always not about the criminal background check. You know, we've had people on here that have gone through physical, sexual abuse as a child. They rose above that. That's in their background. They rose above that. We've had people on here also that have just from addiction. And then we've also had people on here that are judges, lawyers, CEOs of second chance hiring programs that help people with backgrounds navigate life. So that's one of the mottos is we believe your background shouldn't hold you back. It should pay you back. And we think as Christians, we believe that one of the ways we can get our background, what we did or our past can pay us back is by Revelations, I think it's 12:11 says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And so that's what this is all about, is just sharing what God has done in our lives, and letting people know, sure, we made some stuff in the past, you know, some mistakes, but we're not going to let that stop us. We're going to put it to good use in the future and maybe help change someone's life. So glad you're here. Are you glad you're here?
I am glad I'm here. I was a little bit nervous, but I'm very glad. Mostly because it's my story, but I get to talk about God's faithfulness. So
Amen. Amen. Now, I met you about a year ago. I
Yes.
want to say we both go to the same church, Social
Right.
Dallas.
Right.
Shout out Social Dallas is also on the Pando app in prison.
Yes.
So all the guys and gals get to watch our home church. It's a great home church,
It's a
isn't it?
great church, yes.
How did you find Social, and what drew you to
I
Social?
actually had been following Pastor Robert. I know he would go from church to church speaking, and I had been following him on YouTube.
Okay.
And I remember he was doing, I don't remember where the service was, but I heard him talking about starting a church here in Dallas. And I was like, I told my husband at the time, I was like, we have to go. So we had been looking for a church home for a while. And the first time we walked in, actually, it was at the Sci-Fi, I believe.
Yeah, the Hi-Fi.
Yep.
Sorry.
Sci-Fi.
Sci-fi. Sci-fi is a type of movie.
Yes. Okay. So to that.
Hi-Fi. Yeah.
Hi-Fi. Yes. And we walked in, and I just knew that was my home. And my husband agreed. My children agreed, and we just loved it. And
How many
that's
children
where
do you
it
have?
stayed. 4.
What are their ages?
Oh, they're grown.
They're all grown?
They're grown. I remember I told you we started very early.
Yeah.
So yes, my son I have a 24, a 22.
Well, we had to clarify this because I'm sure some people will see you and go, she's not old enough to have 4 grown kids. So,
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that, you know. All right. Well, we could just talk about this really quick before we
Okay.
get into your story.
Yes.
Your husband did pass away.
Yes.
And that was, I guess, shortly after y'all started going to Social?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And 2021.
Okay. We're so sorry. But he liked Social, huh?
He did.
He did?
He really did. I mean, we were all we live in Mansfield, so it was
Okay.
a drive, but
Yeah.
we did not care. We found
Yeah.
our home. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did do you remember the first sermon, or like when y'all actually found Pastor Robert where he was preaching?
I don't remember the exact sermon on when I was watching him on YouTube, but it was the very last service at the Hi-Fi. The very last time they were meeting there was that message, and I honestly don't remember. quite
Okay,
well
but it was already after they actually planted the church.
Yes.
Yeah, because they were only there. They weren't there very long after they planted in 2021 Easter, and I think they had to move to Gillies pretty
Gillies.
quick. because they were already outgrowing the high five, which is a good problem to have.
We barely got to get in. I know there was a bunch of chairs out in the back. Barely made it, but I'm glad we did.
So, because we both go to social, I want to keep talking about it. I'm actually wearing the social. Our Social Connect groups shirt. Me and Jessamy are Social Connect leaders.
Oh,
so we're
great.
Connect group leaders. We have a family group out here in Waxahachie. So anybody, whether they're single or they have family or kids or no kids or married, whatever, just anybody can come to our Connect group.
That's awesome.
And where do you live now?
And still in Mansfield.
Okay, well it's not too far.
No.
If you want to come to ours, come on.
I think I will. I actually tried to.
There you go.
Yeah, I need to for sure.
All right, and because community means a lot, and obviously you're on the show, and we'll get into your story, but you did time in prison.
Yes.
And community in prison was important. Even the gangs, even the secular people, the non-saved people knew how important community was. And I think sometimes in the Christian community, we can allow Satan or this world or whatever to get us isolated and alone and forget that we need to remain in community, forget that we need to be together through the good times and the bad times because we need each other, especially during the whether we're on the mountaintop or whether we're in the valley, we need each other. What was it? Okay, obviously Robert's a great preacher.
He is.
But what was it that when y'all said, okay, this is it? What was it about?
His passion. He's hilarious. His passion. I just think, just being so led by the Spirit, I think that's what matters most. Even the worship was just invites the presence of God, and it wasn't like a show. Even though he's very entertaining, it wasn't like a show. He was really just speaking, just like the anointing that he has. So,
he does have a special gift. We've known him for a long time. My mom taught him in 6th grade.
Oh, wow.
And I got to go on a 6th grade mission trip to Juarez, Mexico with our 6th grade class. And even then, he just had this anointing to be on stage and do human videos and do, acting and stuff, even back then as a 6th grader.
Really?
And so to know that he's just carried that into his adult life and he's able to convey the gospel to where even the person that maybe just came off the street with no education can grab something from the gospel, but also somebody who's been to seminary and theological school can also grab something from the sermon as well. And even today, I know this won't air on the day that we're recording it, but today's message was incredible.
It really was.
And it's great for people like us too who've been to prison, because his main point was you don't get to choose who God will use, because he will use whoever he wants. And I love that because, there's a lot of people like us who've been to prison who society, says you can't do certain things anymore. Even sometimes the church says, well, you can't work here. You can't work in the nursery. You can't be on staff. You can't do that. So it's, but to hear a story like that and to see him present it in that kind of way with a story that is not very preached about was incredible. So, well, what do you do now? You got 4 grown kids. What do you do for a living? What do we do for hobbies?
I think that's something, just a great point to go when you said, the church, even they do background checks. Everybody's doing background checks. But of what I've come to find out, that if God has something for you, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. So I don't worry. I've been disappointed a couple of times, I think, because I've wanted a certain position. And because of my background, it wasn't given to me, even from Christian organizations. And it was a little disappointing, I think. A little like, well, I think maybe out of everybody, you guys should understand.
Exactly.
But it doesn't work that way. But maybe it was not meant for me.
Right.
Because the doors that God has opened for me, nobody could keep me out of.
That's right.
And so I actually do paralegal work right now. I'm working from home, which is a blessing.
Amen.
And short story, I used to tell my husband all the time, like, he'd call me while I was at work, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Working, because you won't make me a housewife." Like, when do I get to stay home?
Man,
So,
that's funny.
and that would be the joke all the time. And
yeah.
I'm like, well, God kind of made me a housewife now. I get to work from home. I get to enjoy my family. I'm doing something that I love to do. It does get stressful, but I love what I do. And this was something that I had thought about going into, like going to school and finishing.
Right.
I never got to finish college, so it was something that I had thought about doing. And God put me there without me having the skills, without me going to school and spending the money. Like, He just opened up those doors.
Wow.
And, both of those companies, the first one where I got my experience, I didn't really want to go at first. But I knew that God was calling me to be there. And, I was afraid once they have offered me the position to tell them, because I didn't think I was going to get it. I didn't think they were going to hire me. And I was scared to tell them that I had a felony, but I was like, I have to be honest. And I called them. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just not telling you. Honestly, I didn't think I would get picked for this position. And so this is it. And I told him everything. He's like, okay, let me talk to other people. I'll get back with you the next day. He called me. He's like, we'd still love to have you.
Wow, that is so awesome.
Yes. So.
You talk about that fear. I just made a Facebook post a couple days ago because I walked into a restaurant, and the guy doesn't want anybody to know, so I'm not saying his name, the name of the restaurant, none of that. But I walk into a restaurant, and he goes, "Are you and I don't eat there very often, but I have eaten there a few times. But he remembered me from times before. He goes, "Do you have a rewards card yet?" And I said, "No." He goes, "I remember you." He goes, "I follow you on social media now." Because I always wear my Keep Calm, I'm a Forgiven Felon, or my ministry shirts. And somebody from social one day was in line behind me, and they recognized me, and they said, "Oh, we follow you on Instagram. You go to Social Dallas." And so he remembered all that, and then went and followed me. And then this week, when I went in there to eat, he said, "I follow you on social media, and by the way," and then he leans in. He goes, "I'm one too."
Oh, really?
And I was like, "Why are we whispering?"
Why are we whispering?
And then he could tell that I was like wondering why we're whispering about it, because I'll wear the shirts and say I'm a felon. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But he said they don't know, because it's been like 10 years, so he didn't have to put it on the application. Because if they say 7 years, then if it's been 10 years, you don't have to disclose it. But he said, they don't know about it. But if they did find out about it, they would probably let me go. And you could see the fear in his eyes.
Right.
And he didn't. I didn't ask what he did. He didn't tell me what he did. But he knew in his heart. He felt in his heart, and he was fearful about it. That if they did know, even if it's been 10 years, way past the 7 years, that he feels like they would not have hired him to begin with, or if they find out, they would let him go.
Yeah.
And I made a post about us people, like, if you don't have a criminal background, you won't understand this fear. And no matter how on fire for God we can get, no matter how confident or Godfident that we are in who we are in Christ and what He's done in us and what He can do through us, there's still that one little word, that fear, that sometimes just keeps us from, pursuing something or thinking a certain way. And it's, I don't know. I mean, I know God can do anything. He can make that, He can make that go away. I don't know if He allows us just to live with it, just to remind us that we need Him as a Savior, but I don't know. But man, I mean, there's things that I can't do still. My mom put me down on her will as the executor of her will. And the lawyer said, you can't have your son be the executor of your will because he's a felon. I mean, even on my mom's her deathbed, her dying wish, I can't fulfill it because of my past. And so, I didn't know you were a paralegal. That's cool.
Yes.
Why did you feel like you wanted to go into that?
I actually wanted to do criminal law, but the door was open for immigration work, and I got into it. I started learning it, and I love it. I really.
So that's
do.
the area you work in is
yes.
immigration law. All right. And how long you been doing? You've worked with your 2 different companies now?
I've worked for 3 different companies.
Okay.
And I like that the second one, it was the whole same background and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just put my information, and that's just now how I take it. Like, if God, you want me to have this, I know there's nothing that can stop you from doing it. And I'm just putting myself out there. If you open the door, it's going to be open. And that's that.
That's good.
And he's been doing that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I heard when I first got out of prison, I heard a pastor say, the greatest need for humankind is to be fully known and fully loved. Yeah. And so I tell the guys when they get out of prison, I tell everybody, I'm like, look, even if they don't ask, just offer the information up front. Because if you tell them up front and they accept you, man, it just makes you feel good. Because you were, and if they don't ask about it and you don't tell them, then you're not being dishonest.
Yeah.
But if they don't ask about it and you offer it, it actually makes you look a little better because you're offering something that they didn't ask, and you're giving them an opportunity. Even if it blows that opportunity for you, you're giving them an opportunity up front to make a decision. And then going forward, if they decide they still want you to apply, they still want to hire you, then you can go forward in confidence, knowing that they already know that they're fully knowing you and they're loving you enough to bring you on and hire you.
Yeah.
So okay, so immigration law.
Yes.
How exciting is that? Does it get kind of crazy sometimes?
It gets kind of sad sometimes.
Okay, because you're dealing with who? You're dealing
with all kinds of things.
Like the asylum seekers?
Asylum,
okay.
Yes. I think to me that is one of the saddest. Like, just hearing the different stories and just what people will go through to get here.
Yeah.
What they will put themselves through. And their stories and like they're leaving their country and why. Sometimes I have to take a pause and let me call you right back because I got to get myself together because it breaks my heart. The stories do break my heart sometimes. So it means a lot to me. It does get hard. Yeah. It does get overwhelming, but I do love what I do.
So are there times where you get to give good answers and times where you have to give bad news?
Yes. Both. I did a lot of court type of cases. And so when we did get a good answer, that all the work that you put in was so worth it.
So you prepare for like a hearing and then you get the answer from the judge, whether it's yes or no.
Yes, also from like ICE or Homeland Security or whatever it is that we're doing for that case.
Okay. All right. Works, So when did you start? How long ago did you start paralegal work?
It started actually in 2020. So I haven't been doing it that long.
So right when COVID?
Right when COVID happened. It was actually March of 2020 when I started doing this type of work.
How much did COVID affect immigration?
Not much. I think everything kept going pretty much the same from what I saw. But because it's not just about asylum, because I know that a lot of that stopped, but it was cases that were already going on. People here in the States already.
Gotcha. So. Okay. All right. And you got, how many kids you got?
4.
4, and they're all grown, so you're an empty nester.
Not necessarily, because
they come back. They're all home?
Yes. Well, after my husband passed away, the kiddos, the ones that were gone, made it back home.
So they're all 4 at home still? Yes. Or again?
Again.
Okay.
Yeah, my youngest is a senior this year. So after that.
Mansfield?
Mansfield.
All right. Yeah. Awesome. Where's he going to go to? Is he going to move away to college or stay home?
It's my daughter. She's been throwing all kinds of ideas, so I'm not sure what she's going to decide to do at the end of the day. Right now, she wants to go to Illinois. I'm not sure what's there.
Okay.
But that's what she's been talking about.
All right. Well, cool. All right. So life is pretty good. I mean, you've had some, some valleys and grief moments here the last couple years.
Yes.
But for the most part, you got a good job. You're part of a good church. Mm-hmm. You're in good community. Mm-hmm. But it hadn't always been like this. Mm-hmm. So obviously you did some time. Right. So let's talk about that a little bit. Where were you working? What? I mean, my crimes was DWI, so there was no thought put into my crimes. I would get drunk, and then I wasn't thinking. I was drunk, and I would drive, and that was the crimes I committed. Mm-hmm. Yours was more of a
Embezzlement, theft.
theft. So, was there some premeditation behind it? Was there a why? What was going on in your life that made you decide to do stuff, like that? Talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, so how I mentioned, my husband and I met when we were just in junior high, 14 years old. We don't know anything about anything. Both coming out of single parent homes, both dads out of the picture. Just trying to make a life for our family. We got a lot of things wrong, so many things wrong. But one of them was, the finances, and even that with grown adults, mature adults.
Oh yeah, please, yes. I mean, it's my wife and I have been married 15 years, and we still fight about finances.
But it was just a very intense thing that just came to. That's how it started. It was just the fear of continuing to fight over the same thing, and what started off to cover a car payment so that I didn't have to fight over it. It just snowballed into something that I couldn't control afterwards. Yeah. And, at the time, I was not a Christian. But I can look back now and think about how in anything, how sin works. And how after you cross the line the first time, however minor it is, it can be something very small. Yeah. But just, you can just makes it bigger and bigger. Snowballs, and bigger. Yeah, until you are justifying what you're doing somehow or another, talking yourself into to not feel the regret or the remorse or whatever keeps you doing what you're doing, knowing that it's wrong. You will say to yourself whatever you have to tell yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm able to pay my bills for my family. And it makes me a better mom because I'm able to pay the bills.
It's ridiculous. Looking back, how, and that's how it just worked until you got caught. Yeah. But it was almost, even though it was very scary and it was heartbreaking, it was a relief. It was freedom from that cycle.
Rescued, not arrested, rescued.
Yes, that's what it was. Because it was oh God, I don't have to keep lying. I don't have to keep this. I don't have to keep going. And it was just very scary. Like I said, I disappointed a lot of people that trusted me.
Well, let's pause on that. We'll pick that back up. Let's talk about you and your husband.
Yes.
So junior high.
Yes.
You mentioned that you both were raised by a single mom.
Yes.
So why were you raised by a single mom?
My dad just chose to be there when he chose to be there. Up until I was 15, he was in and out of our life whenever he wanted to.
Okay, so he's just not there for you.
Not there, no. Okay. My mom stayed steady, which that's a whole another message that God is teaching me.
Yeah.
But she just stayed. And
sometimes that's what it's all about. It's just staying. Yeah. Be the one that stays.
Well, I'm saying with him.
Yeah.
I'm saying putting up with all of it until actually the bad part is she didn't choose for him to leave. It was kind of me that caused it because that last time, he would that last year he was back maybe a year or so. I don't even think that long. But he would be gone all night. And he would be showing up in the morning, probably hungover, pulling up while we were getting ready to go to school. And just watching my mom and what she went through with him, it was hard. And I had enough.
Yeah.
I had enough.
You confronted him?
I did. Okay. I packed his bags, all of his clothes, put them in trash bags, and I was like, you got to go. And
wait, you packed his stuff up?
I packed up all his stuff. And I was like, you can't come in this house. You got to go. And I know my mom was probably angry with me.
Were you scared? Were you scared to do that?
I think after fear keeps you bound for a long time until you get sick of it, until you're tired. And once you're tired, you had enough.
Yes.
And nothing, you just know you got to do what you got to do. And if it hurts,
and you kind of stepped up because your mom just stayed and tolerated it.
Yes.
And so you kind of just stepped up and said, I don't have to tolerate this. And so
No,
you said,
yeah. So, and it was that his pride was like, basically, I'm not going to let my child treat me like this.
Yeah.
I'm gone. And he was gone and he never came back.
Mm.
And my mom went through it for a while, and I felt horrible because I was like, it's my fault. But he needed to go.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, you got tired of it and told him to leave. But as a kid growing up, what was it like having a dad that did that?
Jesus. And this is, one of those times I'm going to need that whole box of Kleenex. Because up until now, I don't think you know really what you're missing until you see it somewhere else. Yeah. And, just seeing my friends, oh, Lord help me. Just seeing my friends and their dads and just the love and the support and all of it.
Yeah.
Up until
to see it on display in their life, but not in yours.
Yes, and then you're like, what?
Yeah.
Then you see exactly how it affects you, how what you're lacking. And up until now, I'm 42 years old, and if I watch anything that has to do with a dad and a daughter, it will break me until this day, because I'm just like, I want that. I still want, okay, it's too late, but I still want that. I still, like, the little girl in me still needs that father, that support, that just strength of a man that's just there,
Yeah.
And so, let me get myself together.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yes, you can. You're doing really good. You're doing amazing.
But yeah.
So then you are together with him.
With my husband.
Your husband in junior high, and he has all the same issues because his dad's not there.
He's not there. He doesn't know what that role looks like.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to be a husband. He doesn't know how to be a dad. He doesn't.
So he gets together with you, who didn't have a good role model for a dad. He didn't have a good role model for a dad, and then y'all get together, and now he has no clue on how to be what he needs to be to you.
Yes.
And so when did y'all actually get married?
But we got married when we were 17 years old.
Okay. And were y'all still in high school at that point?
We were.
All right.
That's when parents go, moms have to show up
Gotcha.
and give their consent to marry us. Yes. So, the chaos continues with us.
All right.
To a certain point.
Yeah. And so you guys get married and you start having kids. Mm-hmm. And what's family life like in your household?
Tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what age was everybody? At what age were the kids when you started embezzling?
Oh, they were little.
They were little.
Yeah.
Okay, so they didn't really know what was going on.
No, they had no idea.
And in your eyes, you were just trying to help y'all, help you make it.
I was trying mostly to avoid fights. I was trying to.
Because y'all would fight because you would fight about finances.
We would fight about everything. But, finances was just something that was just, and I think, it was a big deal to him. I think just now I'm learning a lot of things, looking back and understanding certain of his actions and how he dealt with certain things, money, he wanted to feel secure in that, but he just didn't know how to manage how he felt, his fear of that. But it didn't make me feel good the way that his response to it. So me just trying to avoid that whole thing.
So you couldn't really change a whole lot, but if you could make some money on the side, you could at least take one reason off to fight off the table.
Right.
So,
but then that's what it was. That's how it started.
Yeah.
But then I noticed it turned into a soothing thing for me. It turned into material things, making me feel better about what was not good.
Did he have any idea what was going on?
No, he didn't.
So he just thinks you're bringing in money from work?
Basically.
And where were you working at that time?
Well, I was working at a company. I'm not going to say names.
You don't have to say the name.
Yeah.
What were you doing there? What type of work?
I was clerical bookkeeping type of things.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
And how long did it go on before the roof fell in?
I'm not even sure. It was probably maybe, over a year. It was a while.
So you got comfortable.
Yeah.
So you got comfortable doing it, and you know, and I had my time in my past where me and a guy, we were waiting tables, and we found a way to cheat the system, but we knew we could only do what we wanted to do one time a shift. And they would never notice it. Well, after 4, 5, 6 months of making great extra money on the side from doing that thing one time, we both got a little greedy. And then we worked a double shift one day, and we did it one time per shift that day. We're like, oh, if we do it 2 times a day, then it's just, so then we would work double shifts all weekend, and then we're still doing it just one time a shift, so it doesn't get noticed. But then we're asking to work more shifts, and then we do it 2 times a shift, and then 3 times, and 4 times, and now the actual computer system is starting to red flag our activities, and then it starts to draw. But we got comfortable, we started like not even thinking. Almost, I mean, we knew what we were doing was wrong, but it was just like I don't know if we were okay with it, or I don't know what it was, but it's just like we couldn't stop.
Yeah, and it's greed is a great word that it happens. You stop thinking about how it's affecting everybody else, and it's just about you. Yeah,
and you stop thinking about the consequences, what could happen. You don't stop, and you don't care anymore.
It's such a dark.
But you were using your money. I didn't have a family at that time. I wasn't taking care of anybody. You were using the rewards of that, the benefits of that to provide for your family and to buy nice things, right?
Yeah. But it's when you get to prison and you don't have things.
Yeah. How did they? Can you talk about how they caught you?
I really don't know.
You don't know how they caught you?
I have no idea.
How did they? How did you find
out
you got caught?
Well, when I walked in.
When you walked into work?
When I walked into work.
Was police waiting there, or the management waiting for you, saying, "Hey, we know what you've done," or what?
Yes. Okay. The owner, and he told me not long after that, the constable or whoever it was showed up.
Okay. And then you went to trial?
Yes.
And they gave you how long?
18 years.
18 years. What did you think?
Well, it was 20. It was 2 to whatever 20. I don't even remember.
Typically 2 to 20.
Yeah. But
and they gave you almost the whole thing.
Yeah, 18.
What did you?
Oh Lord! At the moment,
were you crying? Were you crying?
No, I was in shock. I didn't know. But by this time, I knew Jesus.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about that. Yes. When did you come to know the Lord?
In the middle, when I was falling apart, and I didn't have anyone to comfort me, anyone to say, "Hey."
So, because you told me before that you grew up Catholic.
Yes.
So there was religious, but no relationship.
Right.
And then now you're in the middle of this. Your husband, what's your husband thinking? What's he doing? Was he mad at you?
Yes, definitely. Okay. He was very upset with me with all the right, but so we weren't really, he wasn't going to be the one telling me, hey, it's going to be okay. I was
like, what are you doing? What are you thinking?
So it was, like I was by myself dealing with all of it. So.
And that caused you to cry out to.
Well, to be honest, I was at another bank, and there was a lady there. The teller couldn't help me, so she was like, you have to wait on the president or something.
Okay.
And so I met with her, and while we are talking, she asks me if I go to church. And I'm like, I don't. She was like, well, there's this church. She gave me the name. We'd love for you to come this weekend if you can. I'm like, okay. At this moment, I'm like, okay, and so I start getting excited about it.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I need something, and so I had never stepped in another church that was not a Catholic church.
Okay.
And so they had just started this little church, and the pastor was having church out of a little building out of the back of his house.
Okay.
And so my husband and I kept driving up and down this, and we couldn't find it. And I cried because he was, he was like, if we don't find it, we're leaving.
Yeah.
And I felt like, I was so frustrated at the moment, just thinking like, God, I can't even, I'm trying to find you and I can't even find you.
Show yourself.
So I was like, you know what? We're going to turn around one more time because he saw how upset I was.
Yeah.
And we found it. And just for the first time, hearing about this love, I was just in awe.
Yeah.
And I needed to know more.
Yeah.
And I just dove 100% in. Like, I couldn't get enough. I needed the word. I needed all of it, whatever he had, whatever it looked like. I just wanted all of it. And I we kept going to that church, and my husband, the same way. He hadn't heard much of it, but he kept going. And I remember one time he overheard the pastor speaking in tongues, and he freaked out.
It is pretty freaky when you first hear it for the first time.
He was like, I don't know about this. He's like, he went home and was like, I don't know if we're gonna go back. I'm not sure. And I went to the Word and I started searching. I started looking. I had to show him something,
Oh
so
yeah, because you wanted to show him that hey, this is okay. This is real. This is what it's supposed to sound like and look like. Okay.
So he was like, okay. And so I think when I was just open, when they talked about being baptized with the Holy Spirit, my husband was like, don't look at me. And I was like, here I am, here. Like, whatever God had for me, I wanted everything. Like, don't hold back. Don't hold back. And I think just that, my openness to him, that he's really revealed himself to me.
Yeah.
Because I was just hungry for all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. So, okay, so this happened before you went to trial.
Yes. So
correct?
by then, yeah. So I had just been praying. Of course, nobody wants to go to prison.
I still haven't met anybody that said, yes, I want to go. I have not met anybody yet.
Yeah. So I, I was like, okay, God, you got to get me out of this. Like, I don't want to go.
Did you find yourself praying those? If you do this for me, then
I'm sure.
But you already
everything.
But you already went all in, so there's like you can't give him any more than you already have. So
I am sure that I said everything, but I remember having dreams beforehand that caused my fear to just kind of go. And one of them that I remember still so vividly, I was walking down like a hallway with the bars, like it was a jail, and it was just bars all on the wall, and I'm walking, and as I'm walking, there's like this demon things, like, reaching through the bars, trying to get me, and I'm just so filled with fear at the moment, and I just hear God's voice saying, why are you so scared? This is not even your fight. And I was like, and even in my dream, I just felt the comfort and the strength of it. And all of a sudden, all of these demons are like underneath me, and I'm like stepping on them. And it was just so powerful to me. And just his voice, and like, it's not my fight. This is not my fight. And it brought such peace and comfort to me that I walked in that. Of course, I didn't want to stay there. But there was peace even in signing for my 18 years. Yeah. I went into that cell and I went to sleep. You
were probably exhausted at that point.
I was like, I'm going to go to sleep. And so I just kept trusting God. When you say 18 years, I didn't know anything about it. I thought I was going to stay in there 18 years. After you start thinking, I'm like, my babies are little. When I get out of here, like, my husband, and all these thoughts are in your head. But I'm like, you know what? God can do anything.
Amen.
And nothing is too hard for him. And so that was my heart the whole time. There was some times where it got hard. But I knew my time was in his hands.
Yeah.
And I went in there with the attitude, if this time has to be taken away from, me and my kids, I'm going to make sure that I do not leave this place the same. And I'm going to focus, and I'm going to read, and I'm going to apply to every program, and I'm going to take advantage of everything this place has to offer, so that when I leave here, it's not in vain, that I'm going to use everything that I can to walk out there a different person. And I had to do it that way.
That's so good. Some people don't go into it like that. I didn't go into it like that. I wasn't. My encounter with Jesus didn't happen until after I went to prison, and maybe 2-3 months, until I got into a fight, got locked up in Seg, and then those 8 days is where God got a hold of me.
Yeah.
And I came to that determination like you did at that point. Like, okay, God, and I even prayed to God. I said, don't let me out of prison until I'm ready to never come back.
Wow. I was like, God, let's go. I learned my lesson. But no, I think it was finally when I completely submitted, and because it took time. Like, I wanted to do good so that I could get out of there.
Yeah.
But God used me in crazy ways in that prison.
What was the first unit you went to?
Mountain View.
Okay.
Well, you go through Woodman,
okay,
your ID, and then Mountain View, which was, what is that called?
Which one?
Mountain View.
Mountain View?
With the I can't even think of what kind of prison that is. Maximum security.
Yeah. Because
maximum security.
Death Row's there as well.
Death Row is housed there. Yeah. So
they call it Life Row.
No, yeah. So whenever I went there, they didn't have a bed for me. So I got stuck in where they have segregation with all the crazy girls.
Okay.
I called them crazy girls then. But you know what? God did that also in a way, because, me, when I'm told you, I don't know if you asked me this off record or on record about doing drugs or if I had any kind of addiction.
Yeah.
I didn't. So to me, I'm, a good girl.
Right.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Like never getting in any other kind of trouble, no drugs, no fighting, no whatever. And so just even realizing my mindset and the pride in that of thinking that somehow you're better because you don't do drugs or you don't drink or you don't have any addictions. Oh, God broke that really quick.
That's good.
When I got into that place, and these girls just started opening up, telling me their stories. And I would go to sleep crying, hearing their stories.
Yeah.
And understanding how we all have different types of hurts and brokenness that leads us to make different decisions. And, there's some people out there that are going to toot their own horn and say, I had the same kind of life and I didn't do this. And well, good for you.
Right. Yeah.
Happy for you.
Yeah.
But some of us can't handle certain things and certain feelings, and we deal with them the best that we know how, even if it's drugs, alcohol, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
And so just hearing their stories and the things that they've been through, like, I can't even tell you what I would have done if I would have gone through half of the things that they went through. So God smash that real quick, like get off your little high horse and let's just show people love, and so he taught me so much. Those 4 years were hard, and I had to give everything up to God from the beginning, understanding that I no longer could take care of my kids. I can no longer take care of my husband, that I had to trust other people and count on other people to put them to bed, to read them a bedtime story, to get them up, to get ready to school.
Yeah, because what were their ages at that time? You had all 4 at that time, right? And so they were all under the age of what?
And my youngest was 2.
Okay, and your oldest was
9, I believe.
Okay, so all under 10. Wow, I cannot imagine what that. I mean, I didn't have any. I have a 21-year-old kid, but I didn't see him until he turned 18. So when I was in prison, I didn't have any kids that were at home that I was taking care of. So but I would see the men that did, and I couldn't imagine what they were going through. And same thing with you.
Even more for a mama. I think it's just like, the baths and the bedtime stories and the morning and all of their day revolved around me. And it was just like, how am I going to do this? And I knew that I couldn't. And so I just, made up my mind. I'm like, God, I'm entrusting them to you.
Yeah.
And I almost did it with like just this boldness, like, oh no, I'm counting on you.
I'm
like
expecting you.
no, like it really was that. It was like you have to. I'm counting on you to completely take care of them and protect them and be there for them.
That's so good.
And the same thing for my husband. I couldn't worry about what he was gonna do, if he was gonna stay, if he was gonna go, what he was gonna do. I released him to God and everything else, and just counted, on God to keep whatever he was gonna keep from me. And that's the only way that I was going to be able to do that time.
So now you already kind of mentioned one thing about him knocking you off your high horse and the pride and all that. But out of those 4 years, what is like one of the most major lessons, one of the most eye-opening, heart-opening things that he took you through that made a change in your life?
So many things. It was mostly about him, his character. The way that he opened my eyes to so many things, not only to other people, to have compassion and love for other people, but teaching me so much about me. And mostly all of it was about him. I think I don't know, I can't speak for everyone.
Right.
But most of us, when we're calling on Jesus is because we don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And we're doing to gain something, whether it be peace, whether it be whatever it is, we're needing something.
An answer
right?
or something, yeah.
We need something from him. So we come to him with the selfishness heart of, I need something from you to keep me sane. And just during that time, all of that desire to be okay, I just fell in love with who he was. His kindness. He revealed himself to me in such a beautiful way.
Wow.
He took care of me. His favor on me was just so evident that other people could see it. His goodness was just on my life. And it was just the sweetness that I loved about him, that I could just feel him around me and see him. The joy in that place that I had can't compare to anything. Even if I've had everything else out here, when it was just him and I, there was nothing that could take. And the world was falling apart out here.
Right.
So sometimes where I would get bad news or something was happening, and that joy that he just filled me with, that strength, that peace, everything that he provided to me was just, I can't thank him enough for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely get that. There's times where I've told people there's moments and scenarios in prison, on church, on Sunday morning. One of the moments where 100 of us men are singing "How Great Is Our God," in a gym that's echoing all, and there was just nothing out here that has compared with that moment.
No.
I mean, I've been to men's breakfasts, I've been to men's, retreats, but there's nothing that just compares to that. The atmosphere, the passion, the unity. Because, the Acts talks about they were all in one accord in that upper room. And when they were, something amazing happened. And man, when you get out here and you go to church, you could be at the best church in the world, but it's so far from the unity sometimes that you feel on a Sunday morning in church, in prison, when everybody there is crying out to God with this reckless abandon. And when you're doing all that, he shows up.
Oh, he does.
Oh, man.
I love our church. I love our church, but I have yet to have prison church.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. You just like in awe of his presence and his power.
And I don't know if just we're all wearing the same clothes, so there's not that fashion competition. We're all wearing, I know we were at the Lane Murray unit, so I don't know if they sell makeup now in commissary or what, but there seem to be some really good made up faces now. Back in the day, the guys, the guys in the guys unit that want to wear makeup, they have to wear like Skittles and stuff like that, But yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is that causes God to show up it's not a better or worse way. It's just a different way.
I think it's just our need and our desire. Like when we show up to church, we're dying for a word. It's like, that's what's going to help me make it to the next. Like, whatever you say today, God, is what's going to help me make it to the next time I hear from you. So you're in expectation. You are there to draw from him. And I think that's the reason why he shows up the way that he does.
I heard a pastor one time explain why it seems like in third world countries, there's more miracles that take place.
Yeah.
And because they, and he kind of explained it in a way that is like, you know, a miracle to them is running water. You know, and so they believe that God can give them food and water for that day. So if God gives them food and water for that day, why can't he grow a limb, or why can't he open blind eyes, or why can't he raise somebody from the dead? You know, and they believe it. They believe just as much that he could raise somebody from the dead or open their eyes as he does when he provides them their food for the day. And so, but over here, we don't think being provided food for us is a miracle. So we get so used to having everything that we forget about the miracles, or that we don't even expect them anymore, you know? And I don't know if that's true or not, you know?
I have to say, I'm a little crazy when it comes to that. I think something happened, but when it came to miracles, like I was all for it. If Jesus said it, then it's true.
Yeah.
And that's really how I felt, and that's really how I walked. And that's like, sometimes I had to be careful because I was a little, I don't know. But I just think that it's that faith that I had that made God showed up in my life in such a power that it made other people saw. And I have to tell you, when it came to my release and the way that God did it, nobody had a doubt that God did it.
Yeah. Well, you only did 4 years on 18.
Well,
so
yes,
let's talk about that. Yeah, talk about that.
That's my favorite part. So, God had started talking to me months before about me going home that year.
Wow.
And scriptures, dreams, anything, you name it, he was saying it to me. So I was pretty confident. You know, I was like, God is saying this. Like, if he's saying it, it's for a reason. And I kept asking, like, God, if it ain't you, like, you know, my mind and my heart is set on this. And if it's not you, you better, like, straighten me out, because I'm going to be heartbroken over it. Yeah. And I would ask him for different things, and he would show me. And he would keep telling, you know, everywhere I looked, he would be showing to me, and I was like, I'm going to go home.
So you kept putting that fleece out, and he kept saying, yes.
Everything, he kept doing it. And, you know, so I was telling, you know, my best friends and people, and some people were like, okay. You know, I'm like, but you don't like, you don't know. But I was like, there's no way that God keeps saying this to me. And, you know, it was only 4 years.
Yeah,
you know?
and you're saying there's no way that God would tell me this and it would happen.
He wasn't.
And then they were all saying, there's no way it's going to happen because we know the system.
Right, we know how this works. But, so I go to parole, and this last time, and I get a set off.
Now, this was what year?
The very last, 2012.
So what? How far into your service serving was this?
It was, so I did exactly 4. I was released.
But this wasn't your first parole hearing.
No.
Okay.
No,
your second, your third. This is your third. Okay.
Third, I think it was third.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my third.
Because you did 4 years,
yeah,
so you would have had 4. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was my third, and
you
I come back and I get a set off. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, something's wrong.
So then all this was...
God started talking to me probably in July,
before
June,
your
July.
third, before your third hearing. Okay.
So I have it. I still have that same Bible. Actually, my daughter got it. It's all tore up. There's notes everywhere and stuff. But I started looking. It was probably around June when God started talking to me that I was going to go home that year. And I was like, okay, so, you know, I'm like, I'm going home. I start sending all my stuff home.
Oh, no.
I start getting rid of stuff.
Getting rid of everything?
I'm getting rid of everything because God said, you know.
Oh, man. You were getting rid of everything.
Yeah. So then I get my thing back, and it says set off. And I'm like, nope. Like, there is something wrong with this, because if God said it, I was like, there's no way. And I remember getting it. I remember going into the bathroom and thinking, you did not lie to me. I was like, you did not lie to me. Something is wrong. You didn't say this to me. And my friends are like, it's okay. okay, it's like, but I was like, it's not okay.
Because for them, they expected that.
Yeah.
But you expected something different because you were holding on to a promise.
And so my friend, had got a good answer, and she was going to Safe Peace, and I think it was 6 months out, and it was October, and now it's October when I got my answer. And she's going to be going home, and, she'll be home in 6 months, but come Christmas. And she's like, I'll be should be home by, I don't remember what it was. She was like, it was a 3 month, I think, whatever.
Yeah, FI3.
Yeah, FI3. And so I'll be home by then. I'll give your kids whatever. And I'm like, I'll be home to give my kids whatever. Don't worry about it. And I'm like set on this, and this was, I remember writing and that's funny because I came across those letters yesterday. On October 11th, I remember asking my husband, call and find out about a special review or something, or ever. This was on October 11th when I wrote him. And then I saw my other letter. I wrote him again on October 16th. On October 16th, 2012, just days after I had got my set off, I was sitting on my bunk. And I just remember thinking, like, God, this is the perfect day for that exit lab. Just so you know, I sat on my bunk. They call my name for the lay-ins. This is at night. They call my name for the lay-in.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Background Check Podcast, brought to you by Forgiven Felons, helping people with a past realize their future. For more information, please visit forgivenfelons.org. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and please don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss the latest episode. I'm J.Dan Gum, and this has been Background Check.